Hi, my name is Janina Hamilton, and today we are going to talk about 4 secrets to managing your emotions without guilt. We're going to go through each step so that you can learn how to do this in the most simple way in these 4 secrets, these 4 steps. So let's talk about who this class is for. This is for you if you consider yourself a perfectionist. And what does that mean, being a perfectionist? It just means that you have an all or nothing mentality. It needs to be everything or nothing, or it wasn't successful. You feel discouraged when you don't meet your own expectations. Your own expectations are way high, above and beyond, and you focus only on the result of a task. You tend not to enjoy the process as much. You think about what's going to happen at the end, and that if you don't have it in that all or nothing, then you did not progress at all. And if you are a people pleaser, which means that you tend to think obsessively about what other people think of you, you want everyone to like you make decisions based on whether or not people, usually a specific person or usually family also, will think of it. And you have a hard time telling people no. You want everyone to see that you are there to help them and be there for them. And we're going to talk about how this works into you managing your emotions. And it doesn't matter if you felt like this all your life, whether you've had these perfectionist tendencies or these people pleasing tendencies all of your life. So, this class is not for you, though, if you have no problem telling others no. Like if you can set boundaries and you're good to go, this class is not for you. If you have a realistic view of what you expect of yourself and others, if you don't have those perfectionist tendencies, this class is not for you. And if you don't worry excessively about what other people think about the decisions that you're making for yourself, then this class is not for you. All right. So during this class, what are we going to learn? We're going to learn how to accept your guilty emotions. Those guilty emotions come up. How do you accept it? And why do you need to accept them? How limiting beliefs are affecting your life. Why affirming who you want to be is important. And also how focusing on taking action helps you to manage your emotions without guilt. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Janina Hamilton, and I help women to manage their emotions without the guilt. So let's get into it. What should you know about me? Well, I have a coaching certification in emotional intelligence, as well as self-care and boundary setting. And I use those techniques that I learned going through all of those certifications to gain emotional mastery over my perfectionist tendencies and people pleasing tendencies that have led me to want to help others to do the same, especially those like me that have chronic illnesses. And I've learned how to make myself a priority without feeling guilty. And when I don't feel guilty for taking care of myself first, that results in better taking care of my family and my other responsibilities. So those 2 biggest mistakes that I see women make when they are trying to manage their emotions without guilt are these. Number 1, believing that you can attain perfection. We are imperfect human beings, so you can't obtain perfection. And you might be doing this because, we learn to reach for perfection in an early stage, early in life. We go to school, you want to get 100 on your test, 100 on your homework, all of that. We learn to reach for perfection so early. You think it's what you're supposed to do because we've been taught that since kindergarten or before. And the word perfect gets used fairly often in everyday life. I know I still say perfect. I know what that means now. It doesn't necessarily mean actual perfection because it's not attainable, but excellence instead. So the consequences of reaching for perfection is trying to reach a level that's not attainable is stressful. And especially if you have a chronic illness, stress can exacerbate your symptoms. So we need to get that under control. You get discouraged when you don't reach that level of perfection, And you might stop trying new things because you're not good at it right away. Well, you're not good at anything when you're first starting out. So we're going to take a look at how you can look at where you are and look for excellence instead of perfection. So what's somebody that I worked with, a client that I worked with, one of the things that she said when we were talking about perfectionism is that I reached her heart, that we laughed, we got deep and we connected. And what was her favorite part? That we worked out a personalized affirmation just for her. She says, trust me, Janina will help you too. And we talk a little bit more later in this class about affirmations and what affirmations can do for you and how to craft one that is effective for you. Mistake number two is trying to please everyone with every decision that you make. And you might do this because women tend to be held to a different standard than men. It's not that I'm trying to come out and be like a feminist or anything, but that's just how society is. That's taught us that we need to please everyone, even at great sacrifice to our mental, emotional, and physical health. And then you might be doing this too because you're trying to think of how everyone around you will react to the decision that you make. And if you continue to do this, then you'll lose the ability to make decisions that benefit you. You get stuck doing things that you don't want, which tends to lead to resentment for that person. And you'll be mentally and physically exhausted trying to think of all of the possible reactions of others. And it's just not possible. Now, I worked with Shannon, and Shannon said that I helped her to process negative emotions around her business. And it left her feeling empowered with helpful tools and techniques that she never knew existed. She now thinks back and looks at her notes from our call that whenever negative Nancy tries to rear her ugly head. And we do the same thing. We'll talk a little bit more about negative Nancy a little bit farther down into this class and learn a little bit more about how you can make some changes. And it's not your fault that you haven't managed your emotions without guilt yet. As we talked about before, there's just so many other things that are going on in life, so many things that we've been taught that it's just kind of become a habit. It's just a thing that started, but you can manage your emotions without guilt. But there's so much information out there on how to do this, but it doesn't address the root of the problem. What is the root of the guilt that you have around managing your own emotions? So, are you ready? You ready to learn the 4 secrets to managing your emotions without guilt? Let's get into it. Those 4 secrets are accepting your guilty emotions. I know that sounds odd, accepting your emotions, but it is necessary. Breaking down your limiting beliefs, affirming who you want to be, and focus on taking action. Those are your 4 secrets, and we're going to go through each of them. Together, these steps will help you to manage your emotions without guilt. But it's important that you follow all of the steps. You can't just do 1 or 2. You have to do all 4 of them. So let's take a look at how each step works. Secret 1, accepting your guilty emotions. So right now, what are you doing? You're spending hours thinking, what if I do this or that? What will others think of me? You use mental energy caring for the needs of others while neglecting your own. And then you don't do what lights you up because you don't want it to get in the way of your family, work, or business. So you have all of these guilty emotions around taking care of yourself because you think that you should be doing other things for other people first. So what do you need to do instead? Well, you need to ask yourself how doing something that benefits you first will result in better caring for of others. So you feel guilty about taking care of yourself first, but really, if you take care of yourself first and accept that you feel guilty and just move through it, move past it, you'll start taking care of others better. And when you fill your cup first, you'll have something else to give. Because if you have an empty cup, what are you giving? You're giving from your reserves, and then that's going to make you exhausted. That's going to make your symptoms worse. And even if you don't have a chronic illness, that leads people to burnout. And you'll spend time learning about how you feel so that you can show up in the best way possible for yourself, your family, and your job and your business if you have one. So here's what processing your emotions look like. Here's what processing your guilty emotions look like. I'm going to start sharing my iPad. It's going to take a second. Okay, so bear with me as I do this. All right. So I have a process called Don't Suppress Process. It's a format to get you out of your head so you can stop feeling guilty. And we start with 3 words, the 3 words that you're feeling when those guilty emotions come up. Sometimes those words are defeated, right? Feel defeated, or you feel selfish. Another word that comes up is discouraged, right? And then you ask yourself, what happens if I continue to feel this way? If I continue to feel this way, what is going to happen? Right? So what would happen? You would start to withdraw. You start headed for burnout. Oh, and another one, forced rest. Forced rest, because what has happened, you have made your symptoms flare unnecessarily by not processing your emotions, right? So now, once we figure out what would happen if you continue to feel that way, then we start looking at what are the opposite words? What are 3 opposite words from those 3 words that we talked about before? They are, how about empowered? Generous and encouraged. And then what the next step is to pick one of those words and say to yourself, ask yourself, what can you do to start feeling like one of them? So this is my 3-step process for processing your emotion. It's as simple as going through, what are 3 words that I'm feeling right now? They're probably negative, and that's fine. But we have to ask yourself, what would happen if I continue to feel this way? And then what are the words that are opposite of that so that I can start working towards one of them? Now, if you want to get a copy of this, you absolutely can. I will put in the description of this video the link so that you can have it sent to you directly to your email. And I do encourage you to do that. Okay. So let's get on back and start back with the next secret. The next secret is breaking down limiting beliefs. What are you doing right now? Okay. You are not spending time doing what lights you up because you don't believe that it's important. That's a limiting belief. You're equating needing time alone with neglecting your family. That is a limiting belief. And you are jealous of friends who seem to have it all. They have all the time in the world to care for their emotional and physical health. Those friends don't have all the time in the world. They're just making themselves a priority. So that is a limiting belief. So what do you need to do instead? You need to spend time doing what lights you up, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Okay. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time doing what lights you up in order for you to start managing your emotions. You need to realize that recharging your batteries, especially if you're an introvert, is the best thing for your mental, emotional, and physical health. And that this also benefits your family's emotional health. Because if you are emotionally and physically well, then you are able to help your family emotionally too. And then you need to use the resources that you have to plan what your self-care is and stop comparing to your friends. Stop comparing it to your friends. You are your own person, and you need to take care of yourself in a way that's the best way for you. So, what does this look like? How do we tear down the belief table? That's why you saw a table on there of neglecting your family by taking 5 minutes and build up the table of you being more emotionally available for them. I'm going to go back to sharing my iPad again. So, give me just a second. All right. So I've started it already here. The three table, there takes at least 3 legs, right, to hold up a table. So I've already written down 3 things that are keeping you limited. So you think that it's expensive. Well, you think it's expensive because of the way that society has said that self-care is. Like, you need to go to spas, get your nails done, your hair done, and all of that, when that's not the case. You feel like you're neglecting your family, and you feel like you don't have time. All of these things are not true. They just aren't true. So let's build up your belief table. Let's replace that with 3 things. Okay. So let's go the opposite of expensive. If you want to do something like reading, that's intellectual self-care, that's free. That's free. Maybe it costs you to purchase the book, but doing it is free. So can be free. Okay. If you already pay for certain things, it can be free to just sit down and do it, right? Or if you already have art stuff, or if you go take a walk, that is free, right? So what about neglecting your family? Well, there are other times that you already spend away from them that are not serving you mentally and emotionally, right? Other times you have away from them. So, what do you think is one of those things? I'll tell you. I'll let you think about it for a second. It's scrolling on social media. So, if you spent time scrolling on social media, doing something that's not really serving you, that's not really lighting you up, that's actually making you feel worse because you're looking at your friends spending money doing different things to care for their physical, mental, and emotional health, you're not spending time with your family. And that's okay for you to not spend time with your family. I scroll on Instagram and Facebook every once in a while. Actually, I do it pretty often. But I can't say that I'm neglecting my family. You don't say that you're neglecting your family when you're scrolling on social media. So you can't say that you're neglecting your family when you take a 10-minute walk. Okay. That is a limiting belief. You don't, that's not what's happening. Right. And I'm always an advocate for starting small with a timer. So you can't say that you don't have time. You have 5 minutes. Everyone has 5 minutes. But if you feel guilty for doing it, right? If you feel guilty, if this whole social media thing is like whatever, if you feel guilty for doing something specific that you know lights you up for 5 minutes, then set a timer and do it. Okay? Set a timer and do it. And then eventually, when you start feeling better and start craving it more, then start increasing the time. But set that 5-minute timer so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming to begin with. So we've broken down this, it can be free, right? So that expensive is not true. You're not neglecting your family because you spend other time away from them already. And you have 5 minutes. That's just the bottom line. So we work together, we talk about this, and we do this with your specific thoughts around your guilty limiting beliefs. Okay. So what is secret number 3? Secret number 3 is affirming who you want to be, right? What are you currently doing? Right now, you're making decisions that are based on what you think other people expect of you instead of what you want to do. you don't take the time to sit with your emotions because you don't feel that they're important. And you look for confirmation from others that you made the right decision. So you're looking externally for who you should be. So what do you need to do instead? You need to make decisions that are based on the good of your emotional and physical health. You need to accept that your emotional health is vital to being an asset for those that are around you. So looking at them is not going to help you. Making sure that you are taking care of yourself is going to help you, and it's going to help them as well, especially around how it helps you if you have a chronic illness, how it affects your physical health. And you need to understand, it'll help you to understand that not everyone will agree with all of the decisions that you make. That's just a fact of life, that not everyone will agree with the decisions that you make. So here's how you create an affirmation, how you create an effective affirmation. We're going to go back to my iPad so that I can show you the 4 steps to an effective affirmation. Okay. It must be believable and within your control. So you must believe it within yourself that the statement is about you. And if you make it contingent upon the actions of someone else, it becomes effective. So again, this is all about you. You. And it's not selfish. It is not selfish for it to be about you. It must be in the present, personal, and positive. So, you'll hear sometimes people will say things like, oh, it escapes me now, that the world around you is working in your favor. Well, that's not an affirmation. That is a mantra. An affirmation works best if you say it in the I or the I am statement, so that you know that you are talking about yourself specifically, and it's not contingent upon the actions of other people. And it should not be in the negative. You wouldn't want to use I no longer or I will not. It needs to be in the present, positive, and personal. And you must feel it. You have to be emotionally connected to the person that you want to be in order for it to work. Your brain is going to be creating new neural pathways using this affirmation. So you have to feel it. And you must repeat it regularly. The recommendation is 3 to 5 days, or 3 to 5 times a day, for at least 21 days, where you will actually begin to see a difference. So you have to continue doing it and saying it in order for it to be effective for you. I like to tell people, put a reminder in your phone so that it pops up, and that way you know that it's you're getting it 3 to 5 times a day and you're reading it that many times. I had somebody put it on their coffee maker so that they would see it. Somebody put it in their closet. So there are different ways that you can make sure that you are seeing it. Now, a bonus to this is to go, yeah, after you said your affirmation, because that stance, that opening up your body, really helps your brain to understand that this is something new and that you want to do it. And that confidence that comes when you're saying that affirmation will create those neural pathways. So your brain starts looking for ways to confirm the person that you already are. So you want to create your new affirmation, make sure that you do it in these 4 steps. Okay. I'm going to go back to here. What is secret number 4? Oh, I just did 8. What's secret number 4? Secret number 4 is taking action. Focus on taking action. Because what are you doing right now? You're putting off caring for your mental health and sometimes your physical health because you feel that others are more important. This happens, I see a lot of times, if you have a family, especially if you have children, that you decide so you're going to take care of them first. And it's like the oxygen mask, right? It's not selfish for you to put it on you first before you take care of them. You're using mental energy about what you want to do for self-care and then feeling guilty about taking time away from others, which we've talked about a little bit earlier. And you're telling yourself that you should think positive about caring for your emotional health, but you still feel paralyzed by the fear of what may happen. So, what do you need to do instead? You need to care for your mental and physical health because it is important. It is important. You are important. You need to use the mental energy doing what lights you up without feeling guilty. It takes more energy to think about what you can be doing for yourself than it does to just actually do it. And spend time with yourself, knowing that it will benefit not just you, but those around you. So I am an absolute Mel Robbins fan. Okay. I have read 3 of her books and I enjoy following her on social media. She created something called the 5-second rule, and no, it is not the one about picking food up off of the floor. It's the one about taking action. So when you identify what it is that you want to do, in 5 seconds, your brain can change your mind as to whether it actually will do it. It will let you do it. So sometimes it's even less than that, right? I know for myself, sometimes I need to count backwards from 3. It's like 3, 2, 1, do it, right? So things like if you want to start walking more, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm gonna do it," and then instead of getting up right away, your brain is like, "Oh no, I can do it later." But as soon as you say, "I'm going to go take a walk," count backwards from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then get up. Take that action right away. Because if you don't take that action right away, then it slips out of your focus. And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that you take action before you don't want to do it anymore. Because that's what happens a lot of times is you just don't want to do it anymore. And I absolutely can attest to how that feels. So if you take away one thing from this, I want it to be that I want you to see that it's doable for you to manage your emotions without guilt. And I would love to be the person to help you to do this in your life. So there are 2 ways that you can work with me. The first one is the Ditch the Guilt Accelerator. So what's included in the Ditch the Guilt Accelerator? It's 30 days. It starts off with one 1-hour call for us to get together and address the root of your guilt in relation to your self-care and establish your 5, 15, 30 self-care menu. So in that 1 hour, we do those 2 things. We get to the root of your guilt so that you can start taking care of yourself without feeling guilty. And then we establish the things that you can do in 5, 15, and 30 minutes and a self-care menu so that you have it for yourself, have it for you immediately available when you do have that time to take 5, 15, or 30 minutes to take care of yourself. And we have Voxer support, so you can talk to me and I can talk back to you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I will be checking in with you. And if you need me, if you need support from me, you can also contact me on those days. The investment for Ditch the Guilt Accelerator is $497. Or for option 2, Ditch the Guilt, feel good about setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care. So this one's a little bit longer. We go through all parts of the method, all 4 steps that we went through earlier in this class. We do them together, specifically tailored to you. So step 1, we help you to accept your guilty emotions. And you'll learn how to accept those emotions that come up for you when you are caring for your mental and physical health. And we walk through that Don't Suppress Process journaling framework specific to your feelings with my support so that you can get out of your head and rest and take care of yourself mentally and emotionally which bleeds over into yourself physically. You know that stress really does affect your physical health when you have a chronic illness. So getting out of your head and processing those emotions, I help you do this. You get my support in it. Step number 2, with breaking down limiting beliefs, I use an NLP, a neuro linguistic programming technique, to neutralize that negative Nancy in your head that's telling you that you aren't important. And then we use your specific situation to tear down your figurative belief table that is limiting you right now. And we build back up that belief table to show that you are worth your time alone, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Number 3, we create affirmations that are based on who you want to be, that person, that woman that takes care of her emotional needs first. And then we learn how to speak to others so they can start learning how to understand your boundaries. And this is one of my favorite things, adopting a positive trigger phrase when you feel like self-care is out of your reach. When things get busy and you're tired, but you still really need to take care of yourself. And number 4, interrupting your negative thoughts with the 5-second rule, identifying the pain that comes from not caring for yourself emotionally, specific to you, and learning how to work towards the pleasure of caring for your emotional needs. So what's included? What's the format? We have 8 weeks. It's an 8-week program. So there's 4 bi-weekly 1-hour calls. We have 4 worksheets with action steps, breaks down what we do in each of the calls, 4 audio trainings that come in the off week, and we have Voxer support Monday through Friday, where you can send me a voice message or a text message, and I will respond back to you, as well as I check in with you. Because my goal for you is to achieve mastery over your guilty emotions. I want you to be able to stop feeling guilty so that you can manage your emotional health, which will benefit your physical health and then in turn benefit those that are around you. So what's the investment for Ditch the Guilt, the 8-week program? The investment for it is $14.97. And yes, there are payment plans, and we will talk about that in a minute. What happens next then? If you decide that you want to work with me within Ditch the Guilt Accelerator, you can go ahead, use the link that's in the description here, and schedule your one-on-one call. Go ahead and make your payment. If you want to work with me for the 8 weeks, I do require an application. Schedule that, and we'll schedule a 15-minute call with me so that we can talk about what you have going on, so that we can make sure that this is the program for you. So once I approve your application, we talk, then you'll see this is the checkout page. And right here, where it says Ditch the Guilt, single payment of $14.97, you would just click that drop-down list to be able to get to the payment plan if that is your choice. And then this is what the email that you will get after you sign up and make your first payment. This is what it looks like, just detailing again what it looks like for you to work with me. And I would love to chat with you. I love chatting with women on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Janina H Coaching. Send me any questions, any details, anything that you would like to know about this training or Ditch the Guilt in the DMs. So what other questions that come up normally? What's included? Those 4 bi-weekly calls that are 1 hour each. I will tell you they probably will go overtime because I love getting down to the nitty-gritty and making sure that you have everything that you need. 4 audio coaching files, Voxer coaching during the week. And if you go to my Work With Me page, which I will also put in there, it will show you exactly what it looks like. What are the 4 phases? What does each week look like? Make sure you take a look at that too. How long is the program? It's 8 weeks if you do Ditch the Guilt, and 30 days if you do the Ditch the Guilt Accelerator. 4 1-hour calls held every 2 weeks with those audio files sent to you via Voxer so that you can listen to them and take action. Are there any payment plans? So yes, for the 8-week program, there are 2 payment plans, or there's one payment plan for that. It's either pay in full or 3 monthly installments of $500. And the accelerator is generally a one-time payment. But if you need to have something to work out, let me know. Send me a DM on Instagram at Janina H Coaching. That way we can talk through what the options are so that we can make sure that you get taken care of. So how is prioritizing yourself really going to help others? Well, I always say that you can't pour from an empty cup. And I think I said that earlier in this training. So if you aren't filling your cup, emotional cup first, you're going to end up burning out and being forced to rest. Now, if you have a chronic illness, you know how horrible that is. So making sure that you go ahead and take care of yourself first, then you'll have the choice. If a flare comes, you will already know that you have already been taking care of yourself, and you won't feel so guilty about the fact that you did all that you could. You will know that you did all that you could to take care of yourself first, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. Does this only help women with chronic illnesses? No, it is great for women with chronic illnesses, but all women and really all people need this. But if you do have a chronic illness, grieving our previous life is absolutely a real thing. And it can make us feel guilty for the things that we need to do out of life so that we can get quality from it. So please feel free, if you do not have a chronic illness, to go ahead and apply and work with me. We can still get down to the nitty-gritty of why you feel guilty and work through those negative feelings so that you can feel good about prioritizing yourself. What if you don't have the money right now? As I mentioned earlier, there is a payment plan for both of these, right? So over 3 months for the 8-week program. So you'll have an extra month even after we finish. And then if you are looking to do the 30-day accelerator and $497, a one-time payment is still too much for you, please send me a DM on Instagram. I would love to chat with you. So that is it for this class. And I want you to know that I am here for you. Please feel free, even if you're like, I can't afford it right now, I can't do it right now, I just love what you had to say. Please follow me on Instagram at Janina H Coaching. I love to chat in the DMs. So send me a message so that we can get you going on something else that maybe is some other way that I can help you to stop feeling guilty for wanting to prioritize your health. Because if you don't do that, then you're not going to be able to continue to help other people as well. So with that being said, check out the links that are in the description of this video, because there may be something else that you see there that could help you right now. And I'd love to talk to you and find out what that is. Again, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.